You don't really meet Elvis, you actually just look at Elvis.
In 1969 in Las Vegas, a 6-year-old Whitney Houston was standing backstage. Elvis Presley walked in and the room went silent. And in that moment, a story quietly began, one most people have never heard. But the real connection didn't start that night. It had already been building long before. At that time, Elvis was in the middle of a comeback. The music industry was changing fast, and suddenly he wasn't the future anymore. Critics were calling him outdated. This Vegas run at the International Hotel was a test. Either Elvis proved he still mattered, or he became a relic of the past.
Get on now. He taught me how.
So with everything closing in on him, Elvis went back to the one thing that had always kept him grounded: the gospel. That's where he felt safe. That's where he felt real. And he didn't just want people who could sing it, he wanted people who lived it. One of those people was Whitney's mother, Whitney Houston. She led the Sweet Inspirations, one of the most respected gospel soul groups in the country. These were singers who had already backed legends like Aretha Franklin and Van Morrison. When Elvis put together his Vegas comeback, he personally chose them. For 4 straight weeks, they played sold-out shows with a full orchestra. Rehearsals were long and exhausting. They continued till late in the night for days. Not only Elvis, but every single one of them was feeling the pressure. And offstage, that's where the real bond formed. Elvis talked gospel with them, joked around and laughed, and treated them not like hired backup singers, but like a family.
We went to work for Elvis Presley for 5 weeks, and it was wonderful. He was wonderful. I loved him.
One of the most talked about moments from those shows happened on August 26, 1969. During a live performance of Are You Lonesome Tonight, Sissy added a soaring soprano obbligato that caught Elvis completely off guard. He broke down laughing mid-song and struggled to regain control. Instead of stopping, the band followed him. This quick adaptation turned the slip into an unforgettable moment. Whitney Houston's role in those shows went far beyond harmony vocals. She was a musical authority. As leader of the Sweet Inspirations, Sissy controlled phrasing, blend, and discipline. Other singers followed her cues. When adjustments were needed, she made them, and Elvis noticed. Elvis rarely deferred to anyone on stage, but he trusted gospel-trained voices. He understood their instincts, their timing, their restraint. With Sissy, that trust was mutual. She didn't overpower him, and he didn't diminish her. The balance made the performances tighter, sharper, more alive. Years later, that same standard would appear in Whitney Houston's rehearsals. The authority Whitney carried didn't come from ego, it came from watching her mother lead. The relationship between Sissy and Elvis went beyond music and professional courtesy. Elvis showed his appreciation towards Sissy in personal ways. One of the most meaningful gifts he gave her was a gold bracelet engraved with her name on the outside and Squirrely, Elvis's private nickname, on the inside. Decades later, Sissy still kept it with herself. Eventually, during a 2013 Oprah interview, she revealed that bracelet as proof of how genuine their bond was. During those 5 weeks in Las Vegas, Whitney often stayed close to her mother, quietly observing rehearsals and performances. She was too young to have a direct relationship with Elvis, but the experience left a deep impression. Years later, Whitney would describe seeing Elvis up close as awesome, a word that captured not just a child's excitement, but the memory of witnessing a living legend in his prime.
And I remember that month, and I remember all the hoopla about Elvis in Vegas, and I was so proud.
That memory didn't disappear with time. As Whitney grew older, Elvis remained one of the names she spoke with quiet respect. Not as an idol she copied, but as a presence she felt early on. His influence showed up in approach, in restraint, timing, and emotional control rooted in gospel tradition. You could hear it decades later in moments like her national anthem performance. She understood when to hold back, when to let silence breathe, and when to release everything at once.
And the rock
That instinct came from church, from watching musicians who knew that feeling mattered more than volume. In that way, the 1969 Vegas shows cast a longer shadow than anyone realized. As the Vegas shows gained attention, so did old rumors about Elvis and race. Stories circulated claiming he was prejudiced or dismissive towards black artists, but Cissy Houston rejected that idea completely. She consistently said that she never experienced prejudice from him, describing the atmosphere as respectful, relaxed, and joyful.
People said he was prejudiced. I said, well, I never felt his prejudice. And I don't think he was prejudiced.
The historical record backs her up. Elvis intentionally hired black musicians and vocalists throughout his career. The Sweet Inspirations is undoubtedly one of them. And it's worth noting that all of this was happening at a time when mixed integrated bands were still controversial. This wasn't the norm yet. Now, before the Sweet Inspirations stepped in, the spot actually belonged to another group, the Blossoms. But they turned down the Vegas residency after pushing for higher pay following Elvis's '68 comeback special and the Change of Habit film. And despite all the rumors you hear today, Cissy Houston was clear about one thing. They were paid well, and they worked in a good, respectful environment.
And we just had a good time. He would good money and good pay and it was nice atmosphere.
Other black artists, including B.B. King, later echoed similar experiences, leaving no verified evidence to support the racism accusations that continued to circulate long after 1969. The lasting link between Elvis and the Houston family was gospel music. Long before fame, both Elvis and Cissy were shaped by church. Elvis in Southern Pentecostal services and Cissy in Newark's gospel circuit. That foundation never left either of them. During the Vegas residency, gospel sessions after rehearsals weren't for show. They were familiar, almost instinctive.
Wonderful. He was into gospel. So every once in a while when we finished rehearsing with him, we just sing gospel, all of us, you know.
Decades later, Whitney's voice carried the same church-trained power and control. Though she met Elvis only once, the influence traveled through her mother. Behind the pop superstardom, all three were rooted in the same sacred sound. Taken together, their story isn't about fame colliding with fame. It's about proximity, about how music quietly links people across generations without headlines or publicity. When people talk about Elvis's 1969 comeback, they remember the lights, the suits, the spectacle. But behind the curtain, it was gospel harmonies, late-night jam sessions, and a real sense of respect between artists who all came from the same place musically. Whitney Houston would later become one of the greatest voices modern music has ever heard. And that didn't come out of nowhere. She carried that same church-trained discipline, that emotional control. Exactly the same foundation that shaped her mother and even Elvis himself. Her connection to Elvis was brief. Most people never even noticed it. But it says something important. Legends are shaped in conversations and music that never gets recorded. And in that sense, the Houston family's time with Elvis became a part of history. If you enjoy uncovering hidden music history like this, hit like and subscribe and tell us, what's your favorite Elvis track?